Very crowded studio today. You might be catching us live at 5 o'clock on Wednesdays here at WILI, AM 1400 or 95.3 on the FM. We're also on YouTube. Many of our daytime shows are also video recorded for YouTube, and they're available 24/7. WILI Radio is the channel at YouTube, and you can catch all of our shows. Another busy show this week. We're going to talk about the Connecticut Nonprofit Alliance today. We're also talking about local farming and the Mountain Dairy Creamery in Mansfield, a local institution since 1871. They're still alive, doing a great job, and we're going to talk about local agriculture and farming to close out the show. We also have a special song that we're going to dedicate to Bruce John today called There's a Rainbow. Bruce passed away lately. I'm sure everybody watching this show or listening already is aware of that. It's been quite a buzz around town losing Bruce, but he left behind a lot of love, and we're going to celebrate him in our way a few different ways, and one of them is with this song at the end of the show. But right now, I'm very happy to open with the Wyndham Theater Guild. They have a new play opening on July 24th. The Drowsy Chaperone, a classic play. We have Jacob Lee with us, who is the director, and two of the cast members, featured dancers, Caitlin Vicente and Sash Okonuk. So welcome to this show. Glad to have you guys here.
Thank you.
Welcome aboard. Maybe we'll have you start as the director, if you don't mind. Maybe set the stage. Congratulations. This is your first directing job. So welcome aboard for that. It's a special chair to sit in. So kind of give us an idea of your hopes for the show.
For sure. So my main hope for the show is based on a line in the show, which is it's about a man who, sits in a chair in his apartment and he's telling everybody about his favorite musical. It's a show that's carried him through his whole life, really. Issues with his parents. He had the show. All throughout growing up, problems with his wife. He could rely on the show.
Of course.
And now he's reminiscing about it. And he says that what he loves so much about musicals is that it gives you a tune to play in your head for when you're feeling blue. And that's repeated throughout the entire show. And that's what I really want people to leave with. There's a bunch I want people to leave with, but that's the main thing.
One thing that caught me immediately when I read a little bit is what happens when he plays a record.
So much happens.
He gets out of the chair, he plays a record, and something unusual occurs. I don't want to give it away, but set us up a little bit. The magic of that moment. Tell us how you try to portray that.
Absolutely. So it's going to start with, some music or recording like you would hear anywhere else.
Right.
And then as he's talking about the overture, our live band comes in and starts to play along with it. And then suddenly you're surrounded by the music of a live band, and then actors come on stage where you can visualize what's happening on the record. And then you're, watching The Drowsy Chaperone, which is the name of the show within the show, at the same time as the man is listening to The Drowsy Chaperone. And then there are a lot of other fun things that happen. The record skips, and then you see what happens with the actors there. It's very funny.
It's kind of trippy, actually.
Oh, yeah.
Bring your seatbelts. Also, we should mention Ken Clark, the band. It's great to have live music in the theater with the performance. That's got to be sweet to have the live music.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely.
For you, as the performers dancing, that makes you totally different, doesn't it, than the recording? So let's talk about the dancing and how you're approaching your roles for the show.
Well, it's honestly, our choreographer May has done an excellent job with our choreography. It's honestly so addictive. It's like it's so addictive. Our choreography from our choreographer May. The numbers are just so electric and alive, and we just have so much fun with it.
Yes, and she gives us steps that are suitable for everyone, every level of dance, because people come from all different kinds of places.
Oh, sure.
Everyone's able to do the dances.
It's very inclusive, and we all have so much fun with it.
Yeah, that's the joy. I've been covering the Theater Guild for so long. That's the joy of community theater. Everybody finds their place for where they are, and they grow from there. And depending on behind-the-scenes crew members, we've had crew members here talking about set design, building sets, right? Now, this is a late 20s kind of a thing, before the Depression. Mm-hmm. Can you talk a bit more about the larger story of what these people are dealing with in the world at the time and how you're transplanting that to 2026? Because there is some time travel involved here.
Oh, yeah, for sure. I think about it a lot. I think about how I kind of think of the expression, the calm before the storm, but this isn't quite it. It's a big, massive celebration and so much whimsy and fun and jazz and vaudeville entertainment, flappers. It's just an incredible party before the storm.
I haven't heard the word flapper for a while. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, right.
Definitely. The Charleston, doing the moves.
Oh, you know
Absolutely.
it. Gotta love the Charleston.
You'll see that.
Oh, yeah.
So I want you to write down the website if you don't know right now. It's simple to remember, wyndhamtheaterguild.org. You get your tickets that way. July 24th it opens. There's many performances ending on I guess, August 2nd. So you've got a few days. Now, as the director, can you tell us a little bit, if I close my eyes, how you're staging it with space and the sets and the lighting? Having live music is fabulous, but how about the other elements of the story?
It's one of my favorite parts. It is an apartment. So you walk in, you're expecting to see a show about a wedding in 1928, and it's, some guy's apartment. There's a kitchen, a refrigerator, a mirror, a bed, a wardrobe. It should look very, very plain. But as the show goes on, you'll see so many interactions with the apartment because the performers of the Drowsy Chaperone are, they're not there. They're a figment of his imagination. But they're still interacting with the set in a lot of ways that I think has been a lot of fun for all of us.
Almost like another character, isn't it?
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. So just a lot of, secret compartments and pieces that fit into each other in a way you wouldn't expect.
Interesting.
It's a lot of fun.
Now, this is your first time as a director. Talk a bit about what got you here, what your background was, and some other work you've done that now you're taking the bigger plunge to take a larger role. So congratulations on that.
Thank
That's
you.
a big leap. So how did you get ready to take the big jump?
I heard that the Wyndham Theater Guild is putting on the Drowsy Chaperone, and I didn't think. I was just like, I'm doing this. I love this show so much.
It's
I
won so
gotta
many
do it.
awards, yeah.
Yeah. And a previous experience I had before this, which was a lot of fun, I choreographed the Drowsy Chaperone Junior at a middle school in the district that I work in. And working with the middle schoolers there was also a lot of fun. And I just ended up loving the show so much. Apparently, when the kids first heard that they were going to do the Drowsy Chaperone, a show they never heard of, they booed the director.
Just for the word chaperone, right?
I don't even know. They were just like, this isn't Frozen. It's not Aladdin. What are we doing?
Right.
Yeah. But then they fell in love with it. I fell in love with it. And by that last curtain call, it was just such an incredible time that we all, shared for the past several months. So I definitely wanted to do the show again, and I want to do the show again in the future after this. It's my favorite. I just, need to keep coming back to it. But before this, I've directed mainly with kids, choreographed also mainly with kids, and I've done some acting. I started out performing, and it's hard to pick between those. They're all so much fun and very different.
It's nice to be able to navigate those waters on both sides, like being an actor or a director, or, whatever the case may be. Now, Caitlin has joined us. She did some work in Killingly. So welcome to the Guild. Welcome to the area.
Yes.
What was some of your work in Killingly like? And out of all the forms of art that you could indulge yourself in, what is it about theater that's closest to you compared to other expressions of art?
Well, my favorite role that I did at the Little Theater was actually Emma Carew in Jekyll and Hyde the musical, which was such an awesome show. I wasn't really familiar with it at first, but then I kind of just dove in and was like, wow, the music is phenomenal in this show. But I love theater just because you can just express yourself in like so many different ways, whether it's singing or dancing or acting. And I don't know, you can get up on that stage and just kind of, let yourself go and let your emotions go. And I don't know, it's just such a nice outlet. It's always been my favorite, so.
Now for you, Sash, this is your 5th show.
Yes.
I have to go back. Is this your first time dancing, or your enthusiasm, you've also danced before?
I've been dancing basically since I've been doing theater.
All the way through?
Yes.
All right. So what is it about that art form that draws you compared to other arts that combine music and performance? Something about dance is special for you.
I think dance is really comfortable for me, and it's so, dancing and singing too, it's so connected to your body. It just, when I dance, I feel more than alive. Mm-hmm. There's no other way for me to put it.
Absolutely.
So in case you've joined us in the radio, we're talking about the Drowsy Chaperone, which is opening July 24th here in town with the Wyndham Theater Guild. And maybe one way to close is to ask you about life at the Guild. How do you folks decide what plays to do? I know you have committees and you have your process, but how do you figure out what to do each year? You've got Rocky Horror coming up, that's a perennial. But what, after you decide, how do you do that to make those decisions as a collective?
From what I understand, the process has changed in the past year, I want to say, where the committees are new. So the play reading committee, where I'm on that, and then three other members of the cast
right,
are on the committee. We first think of, who we have, what kind of performers we would expect for auditions. We think about the space that we have, other past productions that were similar that were successful. We look at the rights too, because not everybody knows it, but there are some cases where, if you want to put on the Drowsy Chaperone, but a school 15 miles from you also wants to put on the Drowsy Chaperone, sometimes they don't. They restrict the rights for one of the companies.
Because you're so close geographically.
Radius,
Exactly, yeah. So it's a whole big process. Right now we're working on selecting some shows for the next year and a half. So we should know a pretty long time out, what's coming up.
Right. Well, I wish you a good run coming up in July. It's July 24th, and it runs through August 2nd. There's a couple of matinees as well. WyndhamTheaterGuild.org is the website to get your tickets and to learn more. I wish you great performances. I look forward to seeing you for some of the shows. And we'll look forward to having you back later in the year for future shows. All right?
Absolutely. Thank you so much.
Good luck to the Guild. Hope you all. Hello, Martha and Walt. And we'll see you all next time. Take care. All right, a short break. We're going to come back and talk about the Connecticut Nonprofit Association. Stay with us. Don't go away. All righty, we're back live on the Homefront. Glad to have you with us. If you have some news to share, if you'd like to join us to share your story, feel free to use email to make the plans. We can have you here. We're live every Wednesday at 5 o'clock. John at Human Arts Media is the email. Coming up later in the show, we're going to look at local agriculture and the Mansfield-based Mountain Dairy Creamery. 1871 is how far back that family goes in our community, so it's a bit of living history. Also, speaking of history, we're going to close the show out with a special dedication to Bruce John. A beautiful new song has come out called There's a Rainbow. So we'll talk about Bruce as we close the show. Sitting right next to me now is Ben Shaiken, the Director of Public Policy and Advocacy at the Connecticut Nonprofit Alliance. He's been there since 2015. Ben, it's good to have you in the studio.
Thanks, John. It's good to see you again. We go way back.
We do go way back to WHUS days up
That's
in
right.
Yukon. Now, you've been really focusing on the nonprofit community, and I just wondered maybe we could have an idea of, with the new session that just finished, what came out that was the most good news that your community of nonprofits succeeded with?
Sure. So I work at the Connecticut Community Nonprofit Alliance. We're the statewide association of nonprofits. We're based in Rocky Hill, but I'm local to this area, and we represent nonprofits across the state, all different kinds, big and small, working with folks across the different spectrums of all the different things that nonprofits do: arts and culture organizations, health and human services, you name it, we got it. So I work with them up at our state capitol. We just had a great session, and I think the biggest thing that I want to highlight and thank, frankly, our legislature and our governor for in Connecticut is a pretty significant increase in funding for the services that our members provide. A lot of it is funded by the state of Connecticut, by the federal government, and here in Connecticut, we really stepped up and provided a pretty substantial increases for those services. And that's after a really long time when the state budget was not doing so great, when services were cut or were flat funded. But thankfully, the state's financial position is doing better. And so the legislature and the governor stepped up and provided a fairly substantial increase, what's going to be a pretty big cost of living adjustment on the services that they fund that our members provide. And so that's subject of a lot of advocacy, a lot of work that they've done over the years, but we're really pleased about it and really happy that it's been something that's been able to happen the last couple of years and happen this year.
One thing I should mention right away is the website, because you can track anything that Ben is sharing today in terms of things that are going to evolve in the next year. ctnonprofitalliance.org, so it's real simple to follow. In fact, let's take one moment. If I went there right now, what would be most useful for new people who might want to learn about those services that just got a shot in the arm?
Yeah, so we have a lot of information on our website. We do a lot of things at the Alliance, as we call ourselves in shorthand. All the things you think about when you think about a trade association. So if you're involved with a nonprofit and you feel like you don't really know what's going on with your peers, or you want to learn more about other people that are doing your job around the state or get better at what you do, we provide a lot of that information. We have a whole program across the year where we provide training and professional development for people who work in the nonprofit industry. It's a big industry in our state. It's about 119,000 people working for nonprofits in Connecticut. It's about 7% of our workforce in the state. It's bigger than manufacturing. It's bigger than construction and some of the other places that you often hear about in the news. And so we're there to serve those folks. We also have a number of conferences that we do throughout the year, including a large annual conference in the fall with 700 or 800 people in Hartford. And then there's a lot of information as well about the work that me and my team do on the public policy side, all the different things that intersect with our members in government, whether that's local government, state government, or federal government. It's something that we're working on and trying to advocate on behalf of our members for with the elected officials and folks that are making policy in the state.
Right. Do you have a sense of small business stability versus ones that are larger, more established? They could survive a hard time. They have a little deeper pockets. Some of the newer businesses starting out that were tight to begin with, some of them, COVID funding helped a while, but that ran out, as we all know.
Yeah.
And a lot of the nonprofit sector was supported that way for quite a while. But on the smaller business side, how are they making out these days in the economy?
I think for first of all, for all nonprofits, you have to remember that while they are nonprofits, they are businesses. So it's a tax status, and it often belies a little bit about how they're funded, maybe through generosity from donors, from philanthropy, from grants from local or state or federal government. But they're not usually charging a price for their services and making money from people or other companies. They're there to serve a mission and for the public good. And so the tax status is in exchange for that, you don't have to pay federal income tax as a business. But other than that, you're running a business. And so I think they have the same pressures that small businesses and large businesses and medium businesses have, just like those businesses have. The costs have gone up recently for everything. Inflation has hit the industry.
Oh, yeah.
And the biggest cost for almost all nonprofits is same that it is for most businesses, which is people. Yeah. And so the cost of people has gone up a lot, particularly in the healthcare sector. So I think everyone has pressures. I don't know that they're greater or more severe for small versus large. I think there are some larger nonprofits who've been established a long time that have that have a nest egg that can weather some bigger storms.
Sure,
but it's definitely not definitely an exception rather than the rule.
Yeah. So something that has evolved in recent years is a new business model that maybe 20 states around the nation, 2021 now do. It's called social enterprise or benefit corporations. It's a way to mix together the nonprofit and for-profit models to include some form of social benefit in your nonprofit plan. It's only recently been approved, and the businesses are still learning about this. And the thing I wanted to ask you is, since a lot of your members are involved with human services or health issues that deal more with everyday life and people, when they try to integrate serving those people with profit making, do you have a sense of how folks are using this to do a more creative approach to a business model than a traditional way?
Yeah, it's an interesting question. I mean, I think classically, the model in society, I guess you could say, is that businesses existed to make money, and that's it. And if you worked for a business, if you ran a business, your job was to make the biggest profit that you could. And then maybe, many times, often, you felt an obligation to support your community, and so you would make a donation to a local nonprofit, and that nonprofit existed not to make money but to serve the community.
Right, tax-deductible donation.
Right. But I think as things have changed, you see businesses that want to also have a social purpose. And so, that's a more recent phenomenon, maybe that in their mission statement is we want to make money and we want to do good for society in some way. And so I think coming up with different corporate structures like B Corps for them to be able to do that is a really interesting idea. Our members are doing it kind of on the other side, which is we're a nonprofit. We're existing exclusively for the social good. Being a nonprofit doesn't mean you can't end the year with cash receipts higher than your expenses. It just means that you take that money and you reinvest it in your mission. You don't pay dividends out to shareholders. But they are looking at, well, can we find ways that we could run a business maybe that helps support our mission? And they're calling them social enterprises as well. And so they may have a storefront where they sell art made by people with disabilities, or they may, there's another example in Connecticut of an organization that has people with disabilities help manufacture chocolate chip cookies. Those cookies are sold in grocery stores.
I've heard about that.
And so the people that they support are supported. They get jobs. They have integrated employment where they get to interact with people in the world. And then the business, hopefully, the theory is at least, generates a profit that they can then reinvest back into the work of the organization. And so I think it's a really interesting model. We've seen a number of organizations do it successfully. All sorts of different things. Manufacturing is one. We work a lot with an organization that does catering, and the people who work for the catering company are folks that have recently left incarceration and are getting services from this organization. So they learn a trade working in food service and customer service, and then when people buy catering from this company, the nonprofit is able to invest back into the organization. They also get paid. They're working. It's a job.
It's a path forward.
Yep. And so they're really interesting models, and I think it's something that's growing as more organizations try to diversify their revenue so they can survive tough times.
Yeah. Well, speaking of Ben Shaiken right now from the Connecticut Nonprofit Alliance, the Alliance we'll call it. Quick question: as you learn about customers' new clients, do you have any idea of some of the, quote, I hate to say the word classic, but some of the early mistakes people make in their planning that end up costing them time or money because maybe they went ahead without getting enough advice? They kind of went on their own homework, which is good. You can do a lot of your own homework, but when it gets legal and you're working with banks, you need to be careful. Are there any things you could give cautionary tales where people that want to do nonprofit work, they want to do well, but they still have to do business and they have to be careful? What kinds of supports could they have to do the right thing but still accomplish this?
Yeah, it's an interesting question. I think the biggest stumble that we see is being able, and this isn't just for new organizations, it's for everybody, but being able to have a sustainable revenue model to kind of support the expenses that you might incur doing a service. That just sort of assuming that you'll have community support, or that you'll you really need to figure out how you're going to pay for what you're doing before you get going, and make sure that it's sustainable. I think the other thing that we see occasionally is people who start doing the good thing first and then get a little tripped up because they haven't done some of the back legal work that you need to do to make sure that you're able to take in money without ending up having to pay taxes for it, like on your personal income tax. If you're going to start taking donations and stuff, you really need to take the step. We work with an organization called the Pro Bono Partnership. Often when we hear from people who are looking for, hey, I want to start a nonprofit, what do I do? We usually send people their way. They are an organization that connects people like that with lawyers pro bono for free who help with the incorporation and make sure that you have a board of directors in place and are doing what you need to do from a compliance perspective to be able to be a nonprofit in the eyes of the government and the state and federal government that give you that certificate. And it's a good place to start. You learn a lot doing that process, and the IRS has things set up in a way that makes it easy to make sure you've got the things in place before you get started, because it's a little challenging to get your start going.
Right. Well, Ben, you've had a little over a decade at the Alliance now. And when you look back on your early years to now, do you think there's any big changes either in the challenges nonprofits are facing or the type of organizations that are looking at nonprofits versus for-profits in the last decade or so? What are the big changes you may have seen?
That's a good question. So we work a lot with the state's network of health and human services providers. The state government is really the entity in Connecticut, at least, that's responsible for ensuring that there's a safety net available for people in need.
Right.
And that could be mental health services or addiction services. It could be services for people with intellectual disabilities. It could be services for people coming back to society after time in prison, for kids, foster care, you name it. People who need food, all of that kind of stuff. And so, I think in the last decade, what we have really tried to do at the Alliance is to have people who, in the state, whether they're policymakers or members of the public, look at our members as this essential part of life. That's something that they need to commit to making sure is there. If you ever have a family member who needs something or a neighbor who needs something, having services available to them in their community or near their community is really important. I think we've had some success at the state capitol, and now we're trying to figure out how to make it something that people in the public think about all the time. So that's how I'd answer that question. I think that's the biggest change, is making sure that we're thought of in the same breath that someone might think of a business or a municipality or other entities in the state, because we are this really important part of the fabric of our society. Having a safety net there to catch people when they need help is really crucial, and without it, we'd be in a really hard place.
Well, that's the beautiful part of the work that you're doing, Benny. That's why I wanted to have you here today, because this social safety net is only one accident away, one fall down the stairs away, one financial crisis away. And when life is going really well, people often don't worry about that. But when you're on the edge, all of a sudden something comes up. This community is part of your lifeline that people sometimes don't consider until they need it. And what you're doing is helping them to be available all the time. So that's why you're there after a decade. You're still doing the good work, and I thank you for being here today.
Of course. Thanks, John.
We had Ben Shaiken here today, the Director of Public Policy and Advocacy. The Alliance's website is ctnonprofitalliance.org. Check it out for good information. We'll take a short musical break on Route 66, and we'll come back, and we'll talk about Mansfield. Stay with us. All righty, we're back live here on the Homefront. Really happy to be here with you. Now, I'm sure most of you watching or listening to me right now enjoy ice cream and dairy in some form. You know, no farms, no food. And I'm very happy to cover local agriculture sometimes on the show. We have farmers on, we have the co-op on, other groups. But right now I'm going to get very close to my address on Browns Road to the Mountain Dairy Creamery. It's been in our community in Mansfield since 1871. We have two people keeping that farm alive with me today to talk about it. We're doing this in early July, and we're going to talk about the business, what they're doing, and the farm itself. Sitting next to me is Stacey Stearns, and next to Stacey is Lucas Ahern, the general manager. Thanks for coming by today and for being here. I can't say you'll be here for 1871, but you're here keeping the farm alive.
We are, and technically it was 1772 we came to Mansfield, and then we started milk in 1871. So before that it was diversified livestock and mulberry trees for the silk mills right here in Willimantic.
Right. So let's ask a general question now. This is the summer. We're into a heat wave. We just got over a massive dry spell. How is the farm doing overall this season? Just overall.
The farm as well. The cows they were happier with the cooler weather the last few days.
I can
We've had
imagine.
a lot of fans and water tanks going during that heat wave, keeping them happy. So they enjoyed the cool off the last couple days. The corn is growing and definitely appreciated that drink. And
Yeah.
we've got ice cream keeping busy and going well too.
How large is the herd now?
We're milking about 470 cows.
There you go. Drive by. It's an awesome view sometimes. It just, I live nearby. I just love to drive by. So ice cream, let's talk about this. Everybody loves ice cream. You guys do it locally. What's it like this year for the process?
So all the ice cream from Mountain Dairy Creamery is being made right on site, and that's being made with exclusively dairy products from the Stearns family farm, right? You can see the farm crest right over the hill from the creamery. And you can actually watch the ice cream being made if you time your visit properly. There's a viewing window right into the production room, so you can see that ice cream getting made right there. There's a great crew that's been with the Mountain Dairy family for years and years that transitioned to a modified role and has really specialized the ice cream making process.
Yeah. And one quick question without losing us in a whole lot of business stuff. Has new technology helped in some way with the process compared to the older methods? How is that helping you at all?
I mean, when I was in high school, we put the ingredients into baby food jars and kicked them up and down the hallways like soccer. So it's a lot more efficient than that. But ice cream's a pretty simple process to make. So we've got a batch freezer there. It goes into the ingredients go into the tub for about 11 minutes and harden it for a good 24, 48 hours, and it's good to go.
Now, they're at 438 Browns Road, just a few miles away, and they're open Wednesday through Sundays from 11 to 8 for the summertime right now. What do you think right now is the biggest challenge that you have? There are so many aspects to make it work. What's the biggest challenge for 2026?
I think the biggest challenge for somebody who's new to the creamery is just getting people to know where we are and how to find us. So we're right at 483 Browns Road in Mansfield, and we're open Wednesday through Sunday. So the tough thing about Browns Road is it's absolutely stunningly beautiful, but you're not going to find, like you will on some other dairy businesses or ice cream businesses, that traffic. Oh, we're just driving by and we happen to see you.
That's right.
But I think once the word gets out on the experience, the view that you get just a tiny glimpse of the Stearns, 900-acre farm?
It's about 1,000 acres, over 700 of that in farmland preservation.
Yeah.
But you're getting a good view of that. You've got the Adirondack chairs to enjoy your ice cream or your milkshake at. We also have numerous picnic tables with umbrellas. The kids love playing on the pirate ship. We've added the yard games out there. The recent plantings of the sunflower plants, when those come into bloom, when the leaves are changing colors, the photo ops are going to be amazing.
Yeah, I've been there many times over the years, and it's a great spot. Now, something new that you're working on with your neighbor is adding the idea of pick your own blueberries and local fruit in the ice cream. Can you talk a bit about that farm across the street from you where you have a collection of blueberries coming for the first time, and you may be experimenting with that to add to what you're doing now as another part of the business?
Well, I think whenever there's a chance to be able to utilize positive relationships between neighbors, it's always something that's advantageous. And we've had a gentleman who's also involved to the creamery to a certain extent, and he's a great neighbor who had some blueberry bushes that were quite honestly being underutilized, and so the thought was there, and that he is main focus is in the microgreen business, and these blueberry bushes were kind of there. So we're trying to see what we can utilize on them. So we've got some net ups. We've got some measures taken into place to be able to get the best yield that we can. But the hope is to be able to offer a pick your own option a couple days a week over at that farm. And the other option is to be able to, at the creamery in our retail side, to be able to offer some blueberry pints for those individuals that don't want to maybe go out in the heat and pick their own, but they want to enjoy some blueberries from right down the road on Browns Road.
Yeah. I know one of our local blueberry places closed recently off of Route 203. I know that's been there for many years. So, and the season is passing at some point too, so it's always a matter of catch it when you can.
Yeah.
Well, for the farming for so long, what do you think the changes have been with the business as a whole regionally? Milk overall. There's so many farming cooperatives trying to work. There's different people providing milk. I don't want to call it competition, but the whole sector of food is stressed. And then you have dairy. How are you working with distribution, and how is that keeping the farm afloat these days?
Yeah, so we produce and process all of our own milk right there on the farm. Connecticut is actually a dairy negative state, which means
what does that mean?
That means that we don't make enough milk in Connecticut for all the people that are buying milk and dairy products. So you can have quite a few dairy farms in Connecticut and still not have enough milk, but because of the nature of the product, it's short shelf life.
Yeah.
It's all regional anyway, or most of it's regional because you want to keep it fresh. So we have all of our milk right there on the farm. It goes out, sometimes we're milking, and then the guys are starting to process that milk at 4 a.m. and it's going out on a truck at 6 or 7 a.m. and into whether it's home delivery or one of our retail partners. So the way milk and dairy products work is they're just constantly being cycled back into the food system. And because it's such a good source of protein, nutrients, all the things that we really love about dairy products, it's a great way for families to just have that nutritional benefit from a quality local product.
Now, I see Mountain Dairy in stores all over the area, and I just wondered if it's the economics of production or the marketplace when you haven't touched lactose-free yet. That's a huge sector that's growing for a lot of dairy-related products, and it might be just the economics of converting the product to that as well. Is that part of what it is? I just wonder about that. Have you debated lactose-free, or is it something that is just kind of beyond the design of your model?
No, we have talked about the A2 milk in the past.
A2?
And it's one of the lactose-free options, and we do run considerable number of jerseys in our herd because that helps with that butter fat content. It helps with that flavor of the milk. And it's one of those things that it's an innovation. It's something you can consider, but when you're doing something like that, it sets up more processes that are needed.
Oh, sure.
In the processing plant, the storage, where those cows are. So all of those components need to be considered. So we've been talking about the ice cream for quite a few years. So we're excited to get this one off and running, and then maybe in the future we can look at the lactose-free milk too.
Yeah, I know there's a market, but the economics of production are so large, it has to be able to pay for itself in volume, or else it'll just hurt the other business. So I understand, but people are really worried about their health today, and dairy is a critical part of that in some form. So let me ask you this now, over the years, what is it that brings in people the most? Is it just simply knowing where you are? Do you find that people are consuming more ice cream in recent years? Less? Has it leveled off? You're smiling. I'm stumbling to find the right way to ask the question.
I think my instant answer to that is going to be what brings people in. You've got to have a great product. If you don't have a great product, you can have $1 million view, but if you don't have a great product, it's not $1 million view because no one's going to be there to see it. They're going to search for those great products. I think the biggest thing is there's nothing that the Mountain Dairy family doesn't do that they don't do exceptionally well. Yeah. And I think the ice cream is no different between the mouthfeel, the fat content, creaminess of it. It's a premium ice cream, but it's made with premium ingredients from dairy that never leaves the farm. So I think that the ingredients that go into it is what's really helping with a great recipe and great production for that great product. And then once you add on all the rest of the stuff, the great view, the history of the brand, the staff that works there, the interior, I think the design, the build out of the creamery, it's a beautiful build out. That all goes into it, but nothing, it's a non-starter if you don't have a great product.
You mentioned occasionally people can go visit and tour and see them making it. Is that on weekdays usually or weekends when the guys are cranking out the ice cream for the tours?
Right now, it's weekdays.
I figured.
But the calves are on site 7 days a week, so people can stop and see the calves. And then we have done some special tours where we just, bring in different groups. We had Mansfield Elementary School in earlier this year, and
awesome.
the Waterbury students came as well, and a couple others. So
Waterbury, that's awesome.
they brought a busload of them up and wanted to see the farm.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful spot. All righty, the phone number to call, 455-9539, 860-455-9539. Website is mountaindairy.com to find out a great history, which is really nice to get connected to how many years people from that family have been doing this. And I'm glad to have you here in the studio. I wish you a great season ahead.
Awesome. Thank
Thanks,
you very
John.
much for having us.
Thanks for being here. I wish you well. And we won't talk about it now, but I'm going to have them experiment. One day they may try to make corn ice cream. If anybody watching or listening thinks that corn ice cream is worth it, let me know. John at humanartsmedia.com. We'll start a revolution on corn ice cream in Connecticut. That's my bad joke for the day, but thank you very much for being here. Okay, well, what we're going to do now is close out the show. Kind of a sad note, Bruce John passed away recently, and he's been on the station here for many, many years. We all know his story. This song goes out to Therese and to Mia, to the family, to anybody that knows Bruce. He always talked about the words, the power of music, and the heart to connect. This song is from a guy, a really good musician, Michael Falzerano. I'm going to have him on the show soon to talk about that. He's been making music for decades. He has a new release out now that there's a track on it that really struck me. And the first time I heard this song, the lyric brought Bruce in the room. So you check out the words. If you know Bruce, this song is for you, but it's especially for Bruce and Therese. It's called There's a Rainbow. Enjoy.
There's a rainbow up in the sky. There's a rainbow in every tear you cry. There's a rainbow in everything you do. There's a rainbow waiting there for you. There's a rainbow, there's a rainbow. There's a rainbow in the evening mist. There's a rainbow in every broken promise. There's a rainbow in every battle you fight. Yeah, there's a rainbow even on your darkest night. There's a rainbow. There's a rainbow. There's a rainbow over the dark side of the road. Yeah, there's a rainbow with a pot of gold. There's a rainbow over every bridge rainbow. It's waiting there for you. There's a rainbow. There's a rainbow. There's a rainbow. There's a rainbow.
How about those words, huh? Hello, Bruce John. We love you, man. But soon there's a rainbow. This is the record, Sunrise Over the Unknown. And we're going to have Michael Falzerano here on the show in August. A couple of last thoughts before we close today. The Repair Cafe is coming up in Willimantic on Saturday, July 11th from 10 to 2. We had the folks on last week. It's a great way to take things that you might normally throw out when you clean the garage or the attic. The Repair Cafe people will do it for free with a simple donation. It's at the First Congregational Church on Valley Street, 10 to 2 on Saturday the 11th. Bring anything knife sharpening. They fix jewelry, clothing, electrical devices, light bulbs. Well, actually, lights, not light bulbs. They fix lights. But anyway, it's a beautiful idea. It's happening all over Saturday, July 11th, 10 to 2. And also, there's an article. If you go to the Connecticut Mirror today, there's an article that was in there. Colin Hamilton was on the show a few weeks ago. It says, proposed golf facility violates UConn's environmental responsibility. It's about the project on East Road that the golf club needs a new home. They're trying to find a home, and people are debating about where it should be located. We'll continue to cover that all summer long. If you go to the Connecticut Mirror, this is a very thoughtful piece. So that's it for this week. Time always flies, but I'm very grateful that you're sharing some of yours with us every week, and we'll see you next time here. Keep the faith.